Hello, my lovelies. Hi there. Thursday evening. Welcome to Frankfurt in Germany. My name is Angela. I'm the owner and creative energy behind Elfen and Helden. I'm a light retailer for Dixiebelle paints over here in Frankfurt in Germany. So welcome, welcome. It is 8 p.m. over here. So when you join me, just say hi to me and let me know where you are watching. I hope I'm live. I think I'm live. Can't see anything at the moment. Having lately problems seeing comments and things like that. So if I don't answer your comments, I'm not ignoring you. So welcome, guys. We are going to continue and hopefully almost finishing this little side table. First, we're going to first thought we applied a part of this transfer on the top of this table. I'm going to show you later. Bonsoir, Michelle. Ça va? Hi, mein Hase. And I thought I'm going to put some down here, but that'll be too much for me. So I'm going to do a little bit of stenciling so it's not as plain. And I'm going to use the silk screen stencil floral from Bells and Whistles. And for that, hi Vera, wie geht es dir? For that, I'm going to mix myself with the way around with the glaze in grunge, and I'm going to add a little bit of the color green because that was our base color, basically a different color. I'm going to use that for the stenciling. I'm also going to use that for aging a little bit of the piece. Already done that down there and on the sides and stuff like that. We're going to do that together. I stop talking now. I'm going to start basically preparing the things. So, guys, when you join me, just say hi to me. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you have any questions, guys, put them in the comments. The glaze in grunge looks like that. It's drying a little darker. It's not as, can I use that? No, I'm actually going to use my little wooden stick. So the glazes, they don't need to be sealed basically because they contain already a top coat. And as I said, it's going to dry darker than it's appearing in here. So I'm firstly, see if you can see Instagram. Can you see? There you go. So I'm just adding a little of that in here. And I'm just tinting it a little bit with the colored greens. I don't want to have it as gray. That's the reason. So that'll be enough. We don't need much. I'm going to clean the lid later. It's a bit of a mess now, as per usual. Who is the messy painters? Hands up. Who is a messy painter like I am? So from the chalk mineral paint lines, color greens is this darkish green. I'm just going to add a little of that. Should use a new stick, but I'm just going to stick with that. There's only a little left in here. So let that drip off a bit. I just need a little to tint that. That's enough. Close that, put that to the side. I hope you're right, guys. Instagram is already struggling again. So, hi, Cherie. Oh, hi to Louisiana. So over here in Germany, we had like steaming hot summer the other week. I'm just mixing it up for now. Steaming hot summer the other week. And since Monday, it is raining, and the temperatures basically dropped into half. So we have about 15 degrees over here now, Celsius, which is pretty cool. So I'm back to long sleeves. So guys, there you go. That's it. That's what it looks like now. A little of that paint goes a very long way, so that's enough. Let's grab our stencil. I've used that already quite often. So the silk screen stencils, they are slightly sticky. This one isn't anymore because you can see I've used that already a couple of times. So obviously they lose their stickiness. It is still a little sticky. They lose their stickiness over time, but you can still obviously use them. So I'm going to use this rose. The silk screen stencils, they have like an I don't know if you can see that. It's almost like a webbing, like a net in between. That's the reason they are very intricate. So I'm going to apply that rose just around here. Just place it where I want to have it. So you should clean them straight away after use. So I'm going to run off to my sink when I've done that to not ruin it any further. That's basically the reason it is not as sticky anymore, because when I do my lives, I don't always have the time. Hi Münir, wie geht's euch? I don't always have the time to clean them in between. I hope I don't rip the camera over. The silk screen stencil also come with this little squeegee. You can, squeegee the paint in there. I'm going to use a little, just like a stencil brush for that. So load our mixture on there, offload it a little, so I don't have too much. That's enough. So, but you don't get as much bleed through like you would with the normal stencils. And I'm going in a circular motion, trying to reach all areas. Reload my brush. Push it through that webbing. As I said, the glaze contains basically like a top coat, so you don't need to seal afterwards. The whole thing has been sealed before with easy peasy. We're going to do that on the drawer because I want to work on the drawer also with that mixture we've just made. So let's just see if I have all the areas I want to have. So I don't want to have like a perfect imprint, because that wouldn't go with that project anyway. So that should be fine. Just pull that up. So you just have like it's almost like a shadow stencil. Hi Pelly. Lilac and lace in Buffalo. Welcome to Germany. So I'm just shooting off to the sink. I'm sorry guys. I'm just clean that off quickly. Go. So I'm with you. Guys, if you have any questions, shoot them in the comments. So I'm going to let that dry now. And you can see the back there is already darker than this one because the glaze is going to dry darker than it appears in the jar. And for those who tune in later, I've just basically made a mixture of the glaze in grunge with the color greens, which I already have as a base on this project. So, sealing was easy peasy. I always do that before I work. Dankeschön, Vera. Excuse me. I always do that before I work with glazes or waxes or something like that. It's just, you know, the chalk mineral paints, they are open pores, and basically, you know, they just grab onto everything you add onto them. And to control that a little more, I like to seal them before. The benefits of the Easy Peasy spray wax is it is a water-based spray wax, and it dries within about 25 to 30 minutes, and you can basically continue with what you're doing. You can use the best dang wax also, or a top coat. That's up to your own preference. But the best dang wax needs a little longer to dry. Cheers, coffee. Out of breath. I don't know why that is. So Easy Peasy spray wax. It needs to be shaken up nicely. I brought a new bottle because I want to show you. Well, basically, you can listen. You shake it up. I hope you can hear that. Did you notice that it went all quiet? That's basically the sign when it's mixed up perfect. So never leave that step out, because all water-based products, obviously there is not much left in here. You don't have that effect as much on this one, but that's the reason I just grabbed a new one to show you. So, and then you just spray it onto your project. And then you just grab a cloth or something and you just wipe it in. So there might be some of that weeping willow on here now because I've sanded that down. I've cleaned it, but there might be still some dust on there. Which is just going to come off now with that. So that's it basically. Leave that to dry. Don't just spray it on there and leave it, because, you know, if you have drops on there, especially when you work with dark paints, it helps if you have a lint-free cloth. There's supposed to be one, but apparently it's not. So that's done. Let that dry. As I said, 25 to 30 minutes. It is dry. I'm not going to wait that long, but I've already done the sides and the top here, so we can continue working on that because I'm using the where is my, there it is, French tip brush to apply that on there, which is that one. And I'm now just grabbing some of that mixture we've just made with the grunge. So put that on here. And I'm also going to work with the Dixie Dirt to age it a little more, which I'm using the Dixie Dirt in charcoal. Dixie Dirt is like a powder. It looks like that. Don't sneeze into it. And I'm just going to add some, drop it on the floor. Put some in here to not contaminate my container. This lasts forever, guys. This lasts forever. There's different ways of aging your projects. So whatever you want to use. So I have my applicator pad from Dixiebelle, which is slightly damp. So I'm just going to take some of that back, just to blend that in a little. And then I'm going to use just one of those artist brushes from Dixiebelle. This one I've already used quite a lot. It's not looking very nice anymore. And then I'm just grabbing some of that dirt, and I'm going to apply that in those areas around which I want to age a little more. And this is going to stick now to that glaze I've added on there. So just where I want to do that. Work in sections when you do something like that. Take some of it back. You can use your fingers. As I said, you could use wax, you could use the glaze in black, you know, there's like, you know, one of those dark waxes. It's basically different ways to get like a little more aged look. So, and I'm going to do the same thing on the trim on top. This is one of the woody band trims, which you can also get from Dixiebelle. This is a 716, which we cut to size. And done that in another life. I'm going to add a mixture on here also. And at the end on that trim, I will add some of the gilding wax in bronze just to complete the look basically. So I'm grabbing my Dixie Dirt again. It has a bristle I don't want to have. I'm going to apply that just in those areas which I want to age. And you can see this, I just had like a little in that brush, and that goes really a long way. Always, you know, dab it off so I don't have too much on here, because I don't want to waste it. Obviously, some of it will fall down. It just gives it like a little more of the grungy, shabby look. So this is not one of my typical pieces I usually do, those who know me. So and I'm just dabbing in. As I said, this is slightly damp, the applicator pad. If you want to add a little more, you can add a little more. If you're happy with it, just using my fingers a little too. If you want to add a little more, you add a little more. So as long as it's still wet, the carrying that bristle around with me, which I just took off. As long the base is still wet, you can basically apply the Dixie Dirt. You can use also, do that with the spray wax, the easy peasy spray wax with the best tank waxes. It sticks to those also. So, as I said, could use the dark waxes and enhance the look even more with the Dixie Dirt. So that works perfectly. So this should have dried a little longer, but anyway, we're going to do some of it on here now also. So I'm just going around the edges more. If you have a bigger surface, work in sections. I'm going to work fairly quick now. Excuse me. Like, not in my tongue. After all, I'm German, and some of the English words I'm basically losing my tongue. A bit of aging down there also. So just taking some of it back. You can wipe it back, you can dab it in. I'm just dabbing it in now to blend that in a little bit with the base. The base is basically, we've done with colored greens and the sea spray, a very textured base. Then we came over with weeping willow and cucumber eyes and made like a just like a little blend. And then we sanded it back down, the high peak. So that's the reason, you know, the color greens comes out in some of the areas nicely. So same thing, applying that basically in those areas which will be where you would expect the natural aging. I've seen Kristen from Lost and Found Mercantile. She sprayed basically the her brush with the Easy Peasy spray wax to have that Dixie dirt. Just meant to say Dixie dust, but it's Dixie dirt. Maybe we get some Dixie dust. I don't know. Have that stick a little more to the brush, as the brush here is picking up some of the glaze and is a little damp anyway. I'm not doing that, but if you work with the just get that on here. Around those areas where I would like to have the natural aging. And it gives it a little more the grunge look like you would get with the do you, Sherry? I'm happy. So you can create that lovely with that. I'm just going to come in with my fingers. Rub that a little in more. You can take some of it off if it's too much in some areas. Wipe it back. As we sealed that, as I said, the Easy Peasy should have dried a little longer. You can control everything a little better than if you applied over the raw paint. Who else likes to use their fingers? I do a lot with my fingers. I do a lot with my fingers. And this is just like a process. You do that till you're happy with what you have. If you've taken off too much for your taste, you can apply a little more. You can basically repeat those steps I was just doing. So get a little cleaner area. So I'm dabbing because I don't want to wipe too much off. You could see that I was wiping here, so it takes off basically quite a lot. So I'm dabbing more than wiping. So and then it's always the thing to know when to stop. What does it look? Sometimes I have to look into the camera. The camera is really it's showing the difference in the paints and the colors much more than if I just look at it here. But I think I quite like it that way. May actually add some on the side here because that's still too light. Just come in with my just to lint-free cloths. Yeah, I can see. That's it. So happy. I like that. I'm going to leave it like that. And down there you can see, I'm going to show you. It's starting to dry now, so you can see it's the color is like getting darker. And that's what I said before. So now let's get to the transfer on the top. Just going to check for some if I missed some questions. Guys, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, please. So let's see. Done this, done this, done this, done that. Bring it down. Come on down, darling. So this is the vintage post. Oops, yeah. This is the vintage post. I'm gonna lower you a little bit. The vintage post transfer from the bells and whistles line. Let's see. Sorry for the noise. I'm just trying to get you into position that you can see a little better. So that's what it looks like now. I've already blended in a little bit on the back here because there was bright white almost like under there, which is like the contrast is too much for me. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to come in with one of the new colors from Dixiebelle, also the cottage door. And I'm going to also use the weeping willow and the cucumber eyes. Yeah, cucumber eyes and weeping willow to tone that a little down and get that a little more into the project. So I will need very little paint, and I'm going to water that also right down. So this is far too much. I'm just going to take. Good thing you can't see because I'm just using my fingers as per usual. So what I have in here is already enough. I'm going to water that down. Try to clean my fingers a little bit. I like to work out of the lid. You know that, guys. Do the same thing. Chalk mineral paints also water-based, so make sure you mix them up nicely. When you had them standing around a little longer, you should even stir them up. Try to get some of that off my fingers. And then we have it's all water-based products, as I said before. The ingredients may separate when it's standing. So that's the reason you should mix them up to make sure that all the goodies are mixed up correctly. So I'm going to stay with the muted colors. So I probably need a little more of the finger painting. So hi Nina, hi Michelle. Guys, how are you? How are you? So hands, painter's hands. Water this down also. So I have some baby wipes with me. I like to use with something like that. They've already dried out, I'm just noticing, so I'm just watering those down as well. Because this, again, you know, when I paint on transfers, this is like going forth and back. Let's start with the roses. And I don't want to use too many colors. This is just one of those artist brushes from the Bells and Whistles line. So I'm just going to add some on here. I will dab that back in between. This is basically just, you know, to tone that a little, give that a little dimension. Those petals. Obviously, this is also sealed with the Easy Peasy. Highly concentrated, not talking anymore. So this is basically just adding just a little color. Obviously, when you work with that much water, it is the best when your project is laying down, because otherwise you'll develop drops and things, which I don't necessarily want to have now. And I use a lot of water. To water that down. You can see I haven't reloaded the brush yet. This is just I want to have it like almost translucent at the end. Just give it a little touch of color. Sorry, it looks a little crazy at the moment. Hi Michelle, how are you? Thank you, Nina. Yes, this wouldn't have been one of my usual bright projects, but still I'm staying with the muted colors. So just think gives it the right vintagey look at the end. So that's that. I should have had some water here. Just come in with a little bit of the weeping willow, those areas here, which are pretty light. Also with this, I'm just going back and forth. You can hardly see, but it tones it slightly down. I've once adapted the what's it called? Let me think. Sometimes I should first think and then start talking. The Christ, what's it called? Floral Romance. Now I've got it. The Floral Romance, which is pretty pink, and I've adapted it to a red piece, basically using the same technique. A lot of water, so the paint dries, you know, translucent at the end. And that's basically just like moving the transfer a little more into the background. Give it a little more dimension. So let's get to the little butterfly, which is also going to be a little muted. Let's see. As I said, I want to keep basically that vintagey look. Vintagey look. Guys, you know I'm always making up. I'm making up words. I first had in my hand basically the amethyst and cobalt blue, which would be basically perfect for something like that. But then I was reminded that I wanted to have it a little more muted. So come in with the cottage door. Is it cottage door? I don't have the new color settled in my head yet. So the paint is well watered down. And when it dries, it'll have even more this translucent effect. And I'm getting rid of this, you know, bright white in the fly. Don't want you here. The bright white in the in those flowers. So I should have had more than one. That's Cucumber Eyes, which is a fresh white with a slight green undertone, a slight pink undertone on top, because I'm using basically the same brush I was using for the cottage door. So you probably can hardly see, but it's slightly taking on that muted color, which I quite like. So that's basically quite like that. Move the white in here. Give it a little more depth. So I'm not moving that too much now. It is, I'm just going to take some of that water off. Again, with this, you can come back later and redo some of the areas. I'm going to leave it like that for now because I'm quite happy. I think I am. And then it has dried. So take some of the drips off here. As I said, I've sealed that also with easy peasy on there, so that's basically doing the trick. So, and then at the end there will be some gilding wax on the over the let's see, I bring it up without ruining everything. Just get everything out of the way. Everything out of the way. Do you have a couple of minutes for me, guys? As I said, the whole project was done live, so you can come back and check on everything. Had some just to finish that look off. I'm going to put that careful up here so it doesn't run. So should bring you back up. Sorry if I make you dizzy, guys. Sorry if I make you dizzy. Bring it a little closer. So this is already, I mean, I would normally wait a little longer, but I just want to show you basically. So I have the gilding wax in bronzy, how do you say that in English? I'm very good at making up words today again, aren't I? It comes in a cute little tin. Gilding waxes are oil-based, so basically they are the last thing you're going to do. I have brushes dedicated just to the gilding waxes, so I don't, clean them. Thank you, Nina. Yes, exactly, Michelle. That's basically the look I wanted to go for. I didn't, as I said, I had the amethyst and the cobalt bloom, especially for that butterfly, and I said, nope, not this time. I'm going to be a good girl and not going to go too crazy. So bronze. That's it. My favorite. I've used it a lot, but still, that's my first jar. Put some on your brush. If you have too much, I use the lid to dab it into the brush to distribute it even into the brush. And then I'm just going to go slightly over the highlights. As I said, let that dry before you do that. Do as I say, not as I do, as per usual. When you've offloaded it a bit more, you can push down your brush a little heavier, but you get the feeling for that. You can push it down then a little harder. And I don't want to have too much on there. I'm going to come from the other side also to hit the high points from the other direction. Also grab a little more of that gilding wax. I'm just gonna go this way. I was thinking about using the copper Dixie Shine, but that's I thought at the end will be too bright for that piece. So do the same thing on here. I'm just gliding that brush ever so gentle over those high points. Also go in different direction. I have it in a very flat angle just to basically hit the high points. You come back half an hour later or rewind the next day and buff it so it gets a nice sheen. It's a little flat from the sheen at the moment, but you can buff it to a pretty high sheen. So that's basically to enhance it a little bit, and do the same thing on this thing here. And they are self-sealing also, then don't need to be sealed. So that's, you know, also they're oil-based, as I said. And they're the last bit to do. And that's it then, basically. We are done. We are done. Still need to do gilding wax down there. And that's it, basically. So, my friends, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm not seeing all the comments, guys. I don't think I see all the comments from the Dixiebelle page, but I really appreciate you being there, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And I will come back later to check if I missed any comments or questions, and will answer those for you. So this is already dry also. I'm going to sand that a little down just to nude it a little in with the other area. And that's finished then. So doesn't need to be sealed also. There was the glazing grunge mixed with just a tiny little bit of the colored greens. So that's self-sealing also. Guys, thank you so much for being with me tonight. If you haven't done it yet, I really appreciate if you leave my page a follow. I'll put the link to my Facebook page in the description. Don't know if it's up or down, wherever it is, if you do that. And I'll hopefully see you next week. You have a lovely weekend. Stay safe wherever you are. And thank you for watching again. Ta-da, bye-bye.